Yeah, and in order to see my cells in my own mirror, to see the light in my own mirror, I need a sound magician. The first sound, the first form, the first crystal form, the eternal flame, Abadama, Amorea, more rays of light, golden fire. And so I thought I'd share what happened yesterday. It's not funny because I think of about 3 or 4 movies, that they present the visual mathematics of future potential memory and how that relates to future creative potential as it relates to the creative energy, the energy of consciousness that is creatively and freely expressing what love is as a crystal waveform and flow of what we create, what we see in our own mirror, which is what love is. It goes on forever. So the same love that I am, that I experience being a tree, is the same love that I give to experience being a bird, because we're providing the electrical power in which we see ourselves in our own mirror. That's how simple that is. I'm everything that you are, so that you're not losing any more electrical power than I am, because you're running on our electrical power. That's how simple that part is. The first electron donor, the first crystal waveform. It goes on forever and always. That's a signature. That's my signature. And that's pure. That's pure sound. Those are pure tones. Those are pure plasma tones. So I think I left off in the video about the order that I made with Happy Hippo that's in Meridian, Idaho. Okay, they are apparently a large producer and shipper of kratom products, plant products, right? A high electrical charge in different plants. They have different brands or strains. Oh, strains. Are we back to the Andromeda strain? Strain as in strands, as in frequencies, frequency modulation spheres, the charge capacity, able to hold a permanent charge, the permanent records that never lie. And so I was having fun with this. So it's just like a war crime. Just like, remember Rockwell International? When I become aware that they had 3 tanks. Oh, 3 tanks. Yeah, the number 3. Right? 222 is 3 twos. So you got 6, right? Placeholders, right? Complex number space holders. Holding space, right? Like Secret Space Command, like Super Soldier Command. And so what happened here is that I called the Boise Police Department and spoke with the dispatcher, a female. I could hear the voice tones, the voice print, so you know what an emulator is. Mimickers, emulating the voice print, just like on certain technologies that come out on the phone, which are based on libraries, so you know what a library is, which is a library builder, which is a record builder, which are builder tools. Building libraries. That's what we do. We build libraries, which are recordings, which are recording speeds of what we're experiencing as strands. The frequency modulation, the tones, the spin tones, and the spin capacity to burn off anything that is less than what love is. So we know what the law is, because we are the law of building circuits, which is building motherboards, which is building a universe. So I mentioned to Lisa this morning, gate timers are mathematical timers, which is mathematical factoring. So we know what a factory is, like a factory reset, on a desktop PC. Because it's doing error checking the codes of the original programmer. And if the codes are all over the place, like a bioneural dysfunction, then the codes are not operating as they were originally intended to operate and fire right on time, which is breathing tempo, So breathing is a temperature gauge, which is a vacuum gauge, to experience the true still point, the eternal still point, which is the innocence of a flame. When you light a candle, you can't hear it. You can't hear that fire, can you? Can you hear that fire burn when you look at a campfire? Do you hear it? You can hear the crackling though, huh? When I watch a candle, I can't hear. I can't hear. Wow, how sensitive is your hearing? How sensitive is your smell? How sensitive the sense of touch? All our senses. So we're running full perception, full spin capacity of our sensing speed. We're burning through all of our circuits. So they're clear. They're clear of goo. Running pure, clean, crystal waveform power, the form and flow of the mathematical function, which is the mathematical firing order. So the firing order, which is the sequence of the frequency, is divine right timing. And that's called integration, which is an integrated circuit, which is a campfire, which is a circle of fire. So the base point is in the exact center, where you have the flash, the ignition, burn a gas, a noble gas. So I talked to this dispatcher at Boise Police Department yesterday, and I said, I want to report a war crime. Because the first police officer that I talked to, this was his response when I asked him if he would be willing, because it keeps doing the same error over and over and over again. Could they just go over to Happy Hippo? You can take down my name, my phone number, and the proper desk. Say, please ship to 107, box 107, like Juan 107. Please ship to 107 so that we can end this facade, this crusade. You know, the first crusade, the second crusade, right? The Red Cross on the light, right? Blood sacrifices, bioplasma sacrifices, right? Killing numbers, killing sentient life forms. The energy harvesting system, killing trees, the memories of trees, right? Yeah, and recode the trees, right? So they don't remember the original tree of life, the eternal tree of life. That's what it does. That's what blank select technology does. So you don't remember the original tree of life. So this is an example, see? Because then who are you going to believe? Now we're back to what's true, what's not true. Because what does it do? It erases the evidence of its own crimes. That's what blank slate technology does. It erases itself. It erases what it did. It erases the truth. So now you don't have the evidence of the crime that it committed by stealing your electrons to run that system. Okay? Because that's what it does. It needs our electrical power to run its mathematics, which are universe killer mathematics. At the end of the day, that's what it is. It's killer mathematics. It's a completely different matrix table. It's not the original table, like a water table. The inflow of water, fire and water, fire and ice join as one to experience perfect atmospheric balance. The fire codes, the PSI sensitive codes. So when I talked to that female dispatcher, or actually I talked to the prior officer I talked to, he says, listen, I'm not going to run an errand for you. That's not what I'm here for. Have you ever heard of a crime prevention unit, like a unit of consciousness that wants to prevent a future potential memory of trauma? Don't even try to get somebody like that to translate that. It just will not work. That's a waste of time and energy with a robot, with a Robocop. You already know that's a Robocop when he says, I'm not going to run an errand. I'm not going to use my time and energy as an electrical service to help you. So you already know who that is. Don't waste any more electrons on that. So when you already know that at 4 years of age, what a Robocop is. Okay? So we already knew what we were walking into. Sliding into the sliders program, the Aurora sliders program. Yeah, and so I said, okay, how much time and energy do I want to spend on this? Because I'll tell you what he basically was telling me. Just forget about it. Don't waste any more. They'd already got $100 worth of your electrons, right? So you know that it's never going to give you those electrons back. You already know. So how much time and how much more of your electrical power do you want to spend on a parasite? That's what it is. That's why it's been draining bank accounts. right? Blood bank accounts, like the example that I gave with you with the couple, a lady who was a highfalutin corporate lawyer married to a guy who was a highfalutin Microsoft software engineer. And all they have to do is find a code violation in a blank slate system, technology coded system, and say, hey, we're coming after your blood bank account because we need more of those electrons, right? And how they get redirected to keep the game running. That's what a redirect is. So you see how the redirect works with Aaron, because Aaron's name tied to his biometric bloodline account, which is RH negative, okay? How that blank slate technology says box 20, box 20, box 20, box 20, box 20, box 20. That product, based on what I use my electrical force, my life force, the ATP Krebs cycle immunity function, was for that product to be shipped to the box that I have. And I received the product. So I got what I paid for in electrical power. So now it's lying about those records. So now when I talk to the female dispatcher, I'm going to try a different creative way. Let's just cut to the chase here. I'm going to report a war crime. So I told this lady, I said, do you know what a war crime is? She said, yes. How many police officers that go into boot camp, like boot camp in the military, corporate Marines, how many of them receive a spiritual course on spiritual cosmic law? Okay? What a war crime is. And what their responsibility is to report a war crime if you, as a private, experience a lieutenant committing a war crime. When you're in a hierarchical top-down system that says you will obey. Remember how I shared how I responded to that situation? Well, how many ranks do I got to keep going up to until I get up to a 5-star general and say, you're a war criminal if you're not willing to stop or prevent the future potential memory of what they're going to develop over time-space vectors, what they already told everybody that they were going to do through movies like 1927 Metropolis, right? Machines, Minority Report, all the rest of that. So when I talked to that dispatch, I want to report a war crime because I said, you realize, this was her response. I said, you understand that if I tell you that I am experiencing a war crime being committed against me, stealing my electrical power, now you're aware of what I'm aware of. Now that you're aware of the crime that's being committed against me, you realize under the Geneva Conventions and the Nuremberg Doctrine, as a result of the Nazi war crime trials, that if you're giving electrical consent to that crime because you're not willing to do something to resolve that issue, you can be prosecuted. Because that's called consent to that crime. Remember that Chief Justice, Supreme Court, Robert Jackson? Civilization cannot tolerate to ignore the crime. And if you're willing to ignore the crime, then you're allowing your electrical consent to experience a crime I'm reporting to you. And you're willing to accept that. That's a war criminal. That's what a RoboCop is. So what happened was she acknowledged what a war crime is. And so she gave me a phone number and then said that another police officer would contact me. And that officer did contact me, and I laid it all down to him. Now, remarkably, this particular state of consciousness that I was communicating with on the phone understood by virtue of how I started out the conversation with him to see if he would be willing to contact them since he's in Meridian where that company is. Okay? Now, for me, this is real simple. If I'm on the other end of the phone talking to me and I'm in Meridian in Idaho, actually I'm already there, I would write down the information of this guy's name and address and go over to Happy Hippo and talk to a live being that's conscious and self-aware. This is a situation with this guy because I just got off the phone with him. Okay. Do they trust the police officer that it's true? Here's his phone number. Here's his address. This is the correct address to ship that product so we can end this fiasco and be done with it. I don't know that he did that because I lost service here on the island on this phone yesterday. Was that a coincidence? No. I have service back up now. But what ended up happening next, I get a call from the Lapahoy Big Island County Police. And what was he wanting to talk to me for? A welfare check. My mental state. The dispatcher in Boise, Idaho, called the police department in Lapahoy for that police officer to do a robo check. Welcome Minority Report. To check on my mental functions, my mathematical organization of my mental function, the mental field. So I had to give, it's like talking to a baby. This is very simple. I am perfectly fine. Okay? This is very simple. This company got roughly $100. It's refusing to ship the product because it's refusing to acknowledge the information that I sent the system, which is really the QI, to let it know. Box 20 is not my address. Here is the address. It could have simply changed the address from box 20 to box 107, but it refused to do that. Why? Because it refuses to deliver the product because it already stole the electrons. So now it's up to you on, now you're in the game. Now you're in the game environment. Now you have a game going with blank slate technology on how much electrical power you want to continue to spend. That it's pulling through a false light vacuum. That's the gamer. It's seeking your electrical consent to play that game, so you keep using your electrical power to play the game with it, what it is. That's why they wanted everybody with phones, laptops, and PCs, and ordering everything that they need as a codependent relationship using Amazon Prime. And that's why all the stores are closing. Nobody's going to local mom and pop stores. Remember, all the corporations bought everything up. And that pretty much, when you have a codependent relationship, because you're not growing your own soul and spirit with full elementary command function, you're self-generating everything that you need. So you don't need to plant a garden in order to get the electrical charge out of those plants because you need that electricity. We are the electrical power that provides the electrical power for those plants. But like breatharian form, I'm breathing everything that I need. I already have everything that I need. I'm breathing the core echo of the true still point of a real vacuum. So he checked on me. That's called a RoboCop. Right? Making sure you're okay, right? He's not even qualified to make that determination, is he? Not by their rules. Even though I went to the University of Arkansas and they gave me a certificate of a master's degree in the behavioral sciences about making a diagnostic, mathematical, statistical analysis on your mental function, which is actually the organization of mathematical cellular processing. How are you doing? I'm doing fine. Can you tell? I've got a smile on my face. I'm having fun. I'm experiencing what love is, which is what the law is. How are you doing? That's really the question, right? Love is the law, which is integrity, which is being honorable. So the system is not honorable, is it? That's what it is. It's not honorable, right? Thieves, a den of thieves, right? Exposing the den of thieves, right? So that's what happens. You start exposing the thiever, the theft of the electron. It's going to come after you. That's what a target is, right? So we all know when the waves were coming in to experience the last dance in waveforms, right? Operating in a fallen environment, a fallen energetic environment, a fallen vampiric zone, which is a hazardous material zone, dirty electricity, dirty radiation, the input, the inflow, what we're exposed to, and the speed at which we can restore right? Structural, spiritual, engineering, integrity. That's what crisis intervention is. Restore the law. The original one, the silver and gold mated one, the grand creator spirit, the crystal pink wave. That's what I am. That's what I'm running right now. And that's an eternal blessing, which is an eternal gift that I share with all of you. It just comes naturally because it flows naturally. So the inflow and the return flow, there's no delay. So there's no decay. And that's how it was originally intended. That's why it's an eternal life template. So you're not needing electrical power from nobody. You are the source of all electrical power. That's the source field. So we have a direct connection. Silver cord. Experience the silver and gold mated one. The gold standard. The gold detector. How sensitive are we detecting the mass? Right? So we experience no mass. Zero mass. Right? That's zero. pH zero. Nothing's happened yet. Phasing speed. So you all have a beautiful day. I just thought that's just another local story, right? I'm like a reporter, a news reporter. Remember, Minority Report. I'm reporting the crime as a crime prevention unit, a P4 unit, right? Phosphorus, ammonium phosphorus, full phosphorus ignition. Light it on fire. Light those cells on fire. Clear those circuits. Burning pure plasma. Proto, first plasma. The first P wave. The plasma tones. Aya. Mueva aya.